The date is September 18th, 1931. The Japanese war machine overpowered the weak, underfed and under-equipped Chinese defenses in Manchuria. The rising sun flew in victory amongst the ruination brought about by the horrors of modern warfare. But a half year later, the region was renamed Manchukuo, and a Japanese puppet state was established. Naturally, a cataclysmic event of this caliber sent shockwaves throughout the country. Fearing for their safety, Liu Jiman, my grandfather and the patriarch of our family, made the 100-mile walk from Guangdong to British-occupied Hong Kong in search of a brighter future, one safe from further military incursions. Accompanying him was my grandmother, Yu Pingyin, and my eldest uncle, who was but 10 years old at the time. Liu Ji quickly made a life for him and his family. He mustered up all the funds he had at his disposal to purchase a tire repair shop, and it was there when my father was born, alongside my aunt and my second uncle. Life was tough, but my family always had enough. They would not go hungry nor without education. However, living quality was poor during my father's adolescence. Him and his brothers would sleep without a proper mattress in a tire shop, often surrounded by rats who scurried around in the darkness. A tiny apartment right above the shop was reserved for the woman of the family and my grandfather only. They say that fortune favors the hard-working, and that seemed to manifest itself within my father. He was but 20 when he first discovered his passion and what would become his life's work, for he was lucky enough to become a cameraman's apprentice. The young Rudy man spent his 20s honing his craft amongst the titans of Hong Kong's rising film industry, traveling all over the world to exotic locations such as Cairo, Patagonia, and numerous African plains in order to produce commercials for world-renowned corporations such as Marlboro. He was no doubt the first man in my entire bloodline to see how vast the world is, and also no doubt the first to understand how small he truly was in comparison. During his late 30s, my father became a fully fledged director of photography and was sought out by both international and domestic clients. It was also around this time where he met my mother. They quickly fell in love and married, having me soon after. Growing up, it was clear that my parents had unorthodox designs for my development. Unlike other Hong Kong parents who put their kids through rigorous academic tutoring from a young age, my parents thrusted me into the world of sports at just 6 years old. My introduction to the sporting world began with baseball, an extremely unpopular sport in Hong Kong which so happened to be my father's passion outside his career. I did not care for the sport when I was a kid, for I despised the rigorous training that came with it. Looking back, however, baseball was one of the first blocks upon which the foundations of my adult self was built upon. The most important moment in my entire life, however, happened when I was but 10 years old. I was never a great student, but my weakest subject was by far Chinese. In fact, I was failing everything. In an effort to bypass this problem, my parents presented me with a choice. I could either stay in Hong Kong and brush up on my Chinese, or I could leave everything behind and travel to Edinburgh, Scotland to attend boarding school there instead. Needless to say, I chose Scotland without hesitation. The prestigious Fettes College had produced world-famous alumni such as Tilda Swinton and former PM Tony Blair. In the blink of an eye, I went from eating home-cooked food on my kitchen table to dining on haggis with the sons of millionaires. I learned a great deal observing them. The nuances of power, ruthlessness, and leadership, all by witnessing the successes and defeats of my new peers. Of course, I also made valuable alliances during my time in boarding school, friendships of which I would cherish for the rest of my life. I was there for 8 years. I could not stay in the UK for too long, however, hence why I applied to York after my graduation. It was also this time where I finally accepted my role as the sole heir to my family's legacy. My grandfather took the bloodline away from danger. My father overcame poverty. What will I do next? The next chapter is being written now, and it is my fingers that are around the pen.